Hey y'all, and welcome back. I'm Ashley, and thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing my November hopefuls and the books that I want to read this month in November. I am excited to share these, and I actually wasn't really sure what to read this month, so it took me a little bit of time to put together my TBR. But before we jump in, I invite you to subscribe and hang out with me some more. I talk all about books and house and cleaning and my Jeep and pretty much just anything else that comes up in life. It is a true lifestyle channel, so if you enjoy hanging out with me, please subscribe. I have some fun content coming up for December. So let's go ahead and get into this November TBR. The first book is the one that I was dead set absolutely sure that I wanted to read this month, and that is Outlander by Diana. Diana. Okay, so you might have heard about this one as it advertises on the cover. It is now a Starz TV show, but in case you have not heard about it, this book takes place in 1945 is when it first starts. Claire is our main character, and she has just gotten out of being a nurse in the war. She is from England, but her and her husband are trying to reconnect. They take a vacation in the Scottish Highlands to try to come back together. For the majority of their marriage, they have been separated by this war, with her working as a nurse in the battlefields and him working as something in the war. And so now that the war is over, they're trying to come back together and reconnect and rekindle their romance. However, when Claire goes to this hill with these stones that look kind of like a miniature Stonehenge, she falls through the stones and lands in 1743 and has to navigate life trying to make it back to 1945. So this is, I've already started it. Have gotten quite a few pages in. As I said, this is one of the ones that I knew that I wanted to read this month, so I picked it up on the 1st of November, and I'm already 200 pages in. I am very excited to get to the end of this. I did watch the TV series or at least the first season of the TV series on Hulu, and I'm loving it so far, so I'm really glad that I am loving the book as well. So far, they're sticking very close together, but we will see how that goes through the end of the book. The next book is Final Girls by Riley Sager. So this one, Monica and I are actually reading together. She borrowed a copy from the library, and I had this on my shelves. I'm really trying to read through my shelves this year, and you know, I keep buying books, so the shelves are not getting any more empty. But anyway, this one is a great thriller, it sounds like. So in this one, we have our main character who is the survivor of a crazy massacre. She is found running through the woods by a young police officer, and she's having some trouble coping with being what the news has dubbed a final girl. When she is reached out to by another final girl that had survived a crazy massacre 8 years earlier. And so it's 3 of them that have communicated. I don't think they've ever met in person, but they have all communicated to try to help each other through these crazy tragedies that they have been through. When the first final girl is found dead via suicide, and then the second final girl shows up on our main character's doorstep. But then things start going a little bit wonky. She starts to learn a little bit more about the suicide and has to, is fearing for her life, apparently, trying to figure out what is truth and lie of this other final girl and trying to remember what happened to her that night many years before. I don't know that I've given this the best description, but it's definitely a thriller, and I think it is going to be absolutely wonderful. I cannot wait to read it with Monica, and I hope that we enjoy it. So be on the lookout for us to talk about Final Girls. The next book I am planning on reading it for a buddy read on Instagram, and that is A Good Neighbor by Teresa Ann Fowler. So this is one that has been on my shelf for quite some time, and I'm excited to finally be able to read it, especially as a buddy read. So for this one, we have a mother who has been living in her neighborhood for quite some time, and she is getting ready to send her son off to college. But before that happens, some new neighbors move in next door, and these new neighbors are a little bit different. They have very different views on everything, and as they start changing things around the outside of their house particularly, the neighbors start butting heads. So it sounds like this is going to be the one that brings up really heavy questions that asks, like, what is it actually like to be a good neighbor? Like, what is actually a good neighbor defined as? And just questions like that, like, how do you live side by side with somebody when you don't always see eye to eye? Which is very interesting. I am so blessed that we have good neighbors here. I've never actually thought about those questions before, though. It's just, we finally get along with our neighbors. So I'm excited to read this one, and especially on a buddy read. So the next two books, I knew that I wanted to read more than 3 books in November, but I was at a complete loss of what I wanted to read. Like I said, I knew I wanted to read Outlander, and then Monica happened to find Final Girls in the library, and I stumbled upon the buddy read for A Good Neighbor, and I happened to have that on my shelf. But other than that, I didn't know what I wanted to read this month. I mean, October was spooky season month, and I read all kinds of fun, spooky, or slightly more spooky reads, but I didn't know what I wanted to read for November. I knew December was going to be Christmas season, and I was going to read all of the holiday romance fun stuff, so look out for that TBR. But November was just a blank, and so I decided that since I was reading Outlander, which is a historical fiction, kind of, you know, it's historical, we're talking about the past here, that I would continue that theme and keep on reading historical fictions. The next historical fiction that I plan to read is All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I think that's how you say it. I'm horrible with names. So in this one, we have a father and daughter living in Paris. He has something to do with the museum in Paris, and one day his daughter goes blind, so he creates a miniature version of the town and their streets specifically, so that way she can memorize what it feels like and where home is, and she can make it home if ever she gets lost. However, as the Nazis start to come in and take over, the father and daughter move to live with his brother, so her uncle, and they try to take the most valuable possessions from the museum with them in order to save them. Meanwhile, in Germany, there is a little boy with his sister who find an old radio, and he fixes up radios in order to be able to listen to the different stations that are broadcasted, but that gets the attention of the Nazis, and so he is sent to the school of Nazi youth to then create more radios. Since he shared a knack with it, he is doing more stuff to aid the Nazis in the war until the point where he is sent off into the field, and that is when the young girl and this young boy's path meets. They cross paths, and I'm just not sure what to think about this one. I am not one to gravitate normally towards historical fiction. I do like some of it, especially I enjoy time periods around Hawaii and Pearl Harbor. I really enjoy historical fiction around that. I've read quite a few that I enjoyed. So stuff like this where it happens in Europe is a little bit different for me, but I have enjoyed some books like this in the past. So we will see. The Nightingale comes to mind like right off top of my head for one that I absolutely enjoyed. So we will see how this one is. I've heard some great things about it, and it did win the Pulitzer Prize. So, I mean, I feel like I have to read it, right? So hopefully I can get to this one this month. And the last historical fiction that I want to read this month is one that I actually found on the bargain shelf of Books A Million, and that is The Summer Wives by Beatrice Williams. This is one where our main characters, she is a young girl when it first starts, and her mother has, her and her mother have lost their father, husband, and so when her mother remarries, they move to this exclusive island where she gains a stepsister, and all of these wealthy people live in this life of luxury. However, she doesn't feel quite right about it. She ends up becoming friends with the lightkeeper's son, and something goes awry and she is forced off of the island. So she moves and stays away for many, many, many years until she is a now famous actress and is needing to recover from a heartbreak. So after she moves back to the island, she meets up with the boy that she met many years ago, and he has been incarcerated for murder, and she goes to defend him and share all of these secrets that have come up about this island since when she left. So it sounds like it's going to be a really good one, but even still, I still don't gravitate towards these historical fictions. I had heard a lot about it, and I heard that it was great, which is one of the reasons that I picked it up when I saw it on the bargain shelf at Books A Million. But like I said, it's just not one that I am apt to pick up because I just cannot wait to read it. So like I said, I will let y'all know, but these are my November hopefuls. I am excited to get through most of them for November, if not all of them, and maybe add some more onto the TBR. We'll just have to see how it goes. Maybe I will really get into these historical fictions, but let me know, what are you planning on reading for November? Are you like me? Do you purchase historical fictions and then they are not your first to pick up? Let me know. I'm very interested because some people just love historical fictions. I'm not quite on that boat quite yet. So thanks for watching today, and I will see y'all again soon. Bye guys.